Cheryl Shepherd from the Liquor Control Commission.
Elizabeth Armstrong, Linden City Council.
Brad Dick, City Councilor, Liaison to the DDA.
Brenda Simon, City Councilor.
Pam Howard, Mayor Pro Tem.
Danielle Cruson, Mayor.
Mike Gilner, City Attorney.
Ellen Glass, City Manager.
Adam Drummond, City Councilor.
Ray Colbert, City Councilor.
Carrie Burns, DDA, owner of Serendipity. Michelle Robbins, owner of Linden Kitchen and Bath, and on the Benton Linden Chamber.
Brendan Rodabach, DDA, owner of Con Engineering.
Murder rate, resident.
Greg Jones, DDA board and owner of Sunset Corals.
Thank you, everyone. Public comment, any person wishing to address the DDA board on non-agenda items only are asked to state their name and address for the record. Limit comments to 5 minutes or 10 if representing a group of persons. Opportunity will be given to address the DDA board on agenda items as they are called on the agenda. Are there any public comments on non-agenda items tonight? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to public hearing presentation. Ellen?
So we are required, I think 2 times a year, to conduct a informational meeting to comply with PA 57 of 2018, which is the act that governs DEA. We're gonna try to move through this as quickly as possible. So we'll go ahead through the slides. And what this does is it just allows the public to come. Typically we have these and they're at the DDA meetings in the morning. We don't usually have really anybody in attendance. But do we have a separate slide? Oh, we do, okay. So on the screen, you'll see, we'll go through the slides, and between Tessa and myself, we'll take you through them and just show you guys what the DDA is working on or has accomplished or has done over the past year, and things. So go ahead to the next slide. This is obviously just the board of directors. Go ahead, Tessa, if you wanna walk them through.
Yep. So we're just explaining here what the PA Act, or Public Act 57 is, which is just formally explaining that we need 2 public informational meetings twice per year. And this was the amendment of the 2022 that took place. And then during these public times that there can be no business happening. Go ahead. This just shows the DDA district and how it goes to more to the west.
Sometimes this is just a good visual of how big our DDA district is. It doesn't just focus on just our central business district within the downtown. It expands all the way out to Ace Hardware, out West Broad Street.
The goals and direction of the City of Linden DDA are defined by the tax incremental financing plan with TIP and the developmental plan first graded in 2008 and then amended in 2022. And then we have the link here, and then also on our website is where the link follows to, which you can follow the formal act for that.
So everybody knows how TIF works, right? So tax increment financing works. I shouldn't let you explain this. This is probably better for you, right? The assessor. So tax increment financing takes the taxable values in 2008 when the DDA established, and each year there's a calculation or a formula based on each year, and the DDA captures, and actually can go negative depending, but can capture the difference, and it's a formula that they do. And typically if a DDA doesn't exist, obviously those funds are sitting within the general fund. So when a DDA is established and is in existence, and they have a tax increment financing authority, and then that money is then no longer going into the general fund, but it's going into the DDA. And that allows the DDA to be able to focus on improvements, development, basically some things that we'll walk through here tonight, things that they've accomplished. So.
Yeah, like Ellen mentioned, there are certain action plans that go in. The DDA action plan seeks to achieve the following objective, which is inventory and assessment of the existing conditions, opportunities, and constraints within our downtown district. Provide an overall vision or the future of development and redevelopment of the DDA district as a whole. Identify and prioritize the development and strategic action plan for the programming and improvement projects that assist in the overall redevelopment of the downtown. We have the full document on our website if anyone wants more detail in that. economic strategy provides the economic roadmap to assist the business retention and attraction and capital improvement throughout the community, as well as the redevelopment and investment strategies in our community. The marketing outlines the steps to promote Linden and communicate its economic assets and the positive community attributes. The marketing strategy identifies the highlights, the opportunities, and community assets. We have, in the past couple of years, we have gone through and identified some of our, what we want to promote within our district. And then that can also be found on our website as well.
These two documents were a result too of our master plan process and also the redevelopment ready communities process. So putting us in a position to be more proactive than reactive. So we want to try to be proactive to development instead of reactive. We want to try to seek out specific opportunities and businesses and things like that instead of reacting after the fact. So that's really the goal of redevelopment ready communities. And these documents were a result of that process as well as our master planning process. And so that consisted of holding stakeholder meetings and getting input and information over I would say probably a year's process. It took long, but so still in the works, but.
Just for the year of 2023, we had monthly meetings except for in February and August, and we continue this year with meetings monthly. Grow Linden also meets monthly, and this is more of an open discussion, social networking kind of group for the businesses to go to discuss their problems or what they have going on. The DDA contributions so far have been the Happening in Linden Community Partnership, Music by the Mill, the donation to the American Legion, and annual Veterans Dinner, the Christmas tree lights and decorations which were installed by DPW and Fire Department, and then they also do the sponsorship for the new businesses within the Fenton Linden Chamber of Commerce. Some things that the DDA has done, we've done the social media posts to promote the downtown and our businesses, like the Cozy has a 2-year event. We did Downtown Day, we're doing small business in November. Emails are sent out asking for special events or promote each day that they have. We do a collective promotion for Small Business Saturday that we did last year and going to continue this year. And then Linden High School, they have done in the past, returned it by painting the storefronts for the holidays. This year there was a hire of the community engagement person, myself, and then the DDA also approved the first-year chamber membership for the brewing, or the Brewtique, Beloved Books, and Linden Brewing Company as part of the new business starter package. They attempted in the past year snow ice removal efforts for the businesses, and then held joint ribbon cuttings for the new businesses in the district. Some past trainings that we completed, the joint ethics training with city council and other boards and commissions. The high-fi water gauges. There was also the director of DPW presented the outdoor surface cleaning for best practices and dumpster management. We had informational meetings in May and September, and then the Woodhill group also presented their findings for the DDA conciliation, and then there was also the DDA training by Rob from Mission North. If you just want to follow it, or here's all our social medias, website, and DDA page that you can all kind of follow along on what's going on in the DDA district. If you want to know more about what is all entailed in the DDA or the TIP plan, or where the district ends or starts, that can also be found on our website. And then we're also pretty proactive on our Facebook, and Grow Linden is also for a great source for looking out for what businesses are doing.
So basically that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information there to unpack, but we're required obviously by the act to do these informational meetings, and it's nice to be able to have public here, and it's nice to be able to do it in a joint setting with the council. And really, these documents are kind of a roadmap for us as we're making decisions and stuff, that we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. We just need to kind of, I guess, circle back to what we've already discussed and the goals and things that we've already laid out in our decision making. And we have a really great group of DDA members and things like that, and we are hopeful, too, at the fact that this year as we move forward, that now that we have Tessa in that position to be able to work with them directly, they're busy, they're running their businesses, they're trying to make, you know, all the things happen and stuff like that, and we recognize that in their efforts to what they put into the DDA. And so we're trying to make their life a little bit easier, and when we do hold DDA meetings and stuff, that we have, you know, they're efficient for their time and respectful of their time and things like that. So yes, these are just a roadmap. These documents are all out there on our website, so encourage you guys to go take a look at it and things like that. Obviously, from time to time, we need to look at it and make sure that we're still, our goals and our strategic plan and all of those things are still in alignment. And then I think in the next few years, we'll have to do an update to our TIF plan. I can't remember when that expires necessarily, but, so yeah, that's kind of our informational meeting for the PA 57. Do you guys have any questions for any of us?
No questions from the public or council?
You bust through that quick.
Oh wait, there is one, sorry.
Marcia Cole, Hickory Street. So with the DDA, is the public invited to participate in any way in discussions about ideas for the future? Like how to get involved with the DDA?
Yes, all the meetings are, so yes, before you leave, I'll make sure we give your information, so, no, but we do, the DDA meetings are all open to the public. They are the fourth Thursday at 8:30 in the morning, held at the community center. If there's ways that you would like to get involved or things that you would like to see and maybe you can't make it, you can always submit an email, or contact any one of them directly or us at City Hall, and we're happy to share that with you.
Are these elected positions or paid positions?
They're not paid, they're not elected, they're appointed.
And who appoints them?
The City Council.
The City Council?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Mhm.
And how long is the term for people on the DDA?
Good question. So we're working, they're staggered. They're supposed to be staggered. We're working right now. Each term is different, so we don't have a bunch of them expiring at the same time. So they are staggered, and they're going to be like, what, 2, 3, 4-year terms? So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? All right, are we ready to move on to discussion topic? The first item is the brick paver. Did you want to switch and do the social district?
Yes, if you don't mind, just to be respectful of Carol's time, I'm sorry, Carol.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
All right, so Brandon does have a DDA. I don't know if you know this, but there's DDA licenses available through the Liquor Control Commission for a DDA district. So most our liquor licenses are quotas that are based on population. There's not a whole lot of them available any longer, but DDA licenses are always available for a DDA. So just so you know that, throw that in there for good measure. I am glad that you had me come out today for the social district discussion, because social districts can be amazing for a community, a nightmare for your police department, if not conducted properly. So I threw this together. If you find any typos, forgive me, but I put this together quickly when I got the call. Hey, can you go out there? Yes, okay. So rather than have a PowerPoint, I gave you to have this information. What I tried to do is I tried to break down the social district permit law in our code, because you know it's all in legal jargon, and some of it I'm like, what? And so we've had, since this has been put into place, we've asked questions, and hopefully I can give you your answers. A social district permit is you only need our input at Liquor Control if you want to have a commons area where you're gonna have people sitting in there consuming alcohol. If you just want to close your street down for your community and have people walk around without any alcohol, you don't need the Liquor Control's permission to do so. But once you start having alcohol outside of a licensed establishment, that becomes a Liquor Control issue as well as a police issue. The way the social district permit works, we'll go right into this. Your local governmental bodies, your council, they develop a plan. You set up where you want it, what times you want it, and when you want it. And when this first came out, it was funny because people had these humongous areas, and then they realized, oh my God, people when they drink get insane, and so they narrowed them down. if you look at the social district law, it is very specific about you have a social district area and a commons area or commons areas within that social district. Now, I know a lot of people have made very large common areas. I guess the thing that kind of designates or dictates where it's gonna be is it has to be contiguous to 2 licensed premises. So if I have the Linden Brewery, if I'm on the commons area, if I'm contiguous to the commons area, there has to be another licensee, whether it be a brewery, another brewery, a winery, on-premise tasting room, off-premise tasting room, a Class C restaurant, a tavern. They have to be contiguous to that same commons area as the brewery in order to make that area a commons area. Does that make sense? Okay, I do have a slide on that.
So, just really quick, Carol,
Yes.
on that contiguous, that was kind of what we've been hung up on, or in the past discussions and stuff. So you're saying that it has to be contiguous to the commons area, not necessarily contiguous to another establishment.
Well, let's say this gentleman on the end owns a brewery, okay? And you have made this area a commons area. And then this lady over here owns a restaurant, bar. That's contiguous, both of them are contiguous to the same commons area, if this whole area is commons area. If you made this a commons area and he was the only licensee, and then the other one was way over here off of this commons area, then they wouldn't qualify. Does that make sense? I tried to break it down in this for you guys, because I know that was the weirdest language, I think, in the whole law there. It was like, what? If you want to have a social district and you vote to have it and then you implement that, if you want to discontinue it, you have to have a public meeting, give a public notice. So that's also in the law. I gave you some examples of social districts. They're really tiny, and I did black out the names so you couldn't see where they were. On the first one on the left, you see this huge area, that's the social district. But those little black dots within that social district, that's the commons area. So that's where you would have alcohol consumption. So, same thing with the one on top, that entire area is the social district, and then those little black dots are the commons areas. So there's multiple. And then on the bottom one, this one didn't come out too good. It's like a rectangle, and then that strip in the middle, that's their commons area. So it's basically Main Street. So they have businesses on each side of the road, and the road is shut down, and that's their commons area. So any businesses, if you have a bar on this side of the road, and a bar on that side of the road, and this is the commons area, they're contiguous to the same commons area. So that will qualify them to get their permits to be able to sell. Okay? If you're going to close a road, you have to have permission from the local road authority. So if it's a county road, you'd have to go to the county. If it's a state road, I drove down through your little town, and you do have some really good areas that you could do this and implement this really well. I don't know, because this seems like to be a main road. I'm kind of lost. That's a main road out front. I don't know who owns that road, so that may not be a road that you would want to close. But then downtown, there's that other cross street, that one might be, or vice versa. So you have to determine that. If you want to close a road, what you don't want is people, if this is the commons area and it's the middle of the road, with their alcohol and cars going through. So if you make, the road a common area, you want to close it off, because the commission will not approve cars going through a social district commons area. The licensee must be contiguous, they have to have a permit. The liquor control's control of a social district permittee ends when that patron goes into the place, gets their drink, and then they exit. When they exit the building of that permitted licensee, that individual now becomes your local police and your council's responsibility. So what I tell when I go out and do trainings, and I tell the police, if you see two people sitting in your commons area and one has got Carol's Tavern cup and the other one's got Joe's Barbecue cup or Linden's Brewery cup, one of them is probably under 21, and so the one that's 21 went into those establishments, showed their ID, got the beverages, came back in and shared it with their underage friend, cousin, whatever. So that's gonna be something that the police will have to keep an eye on, for underage, for intoxication. The law reads that it is the responsibility of the local government for the public's health, safety, and welfare. So if there's an intoxicated patron that gets out of control in the social district commons area, it's on the locals. It's not on the liquor control's responsibility once they walk out. The only thing that we would do is if we see someone sitting in the commons area with a cup, it better have the right label on it, and it better identify the licensee that they got it from, and then we would check to make sure they were permitted. That's it. Once they leave that establishment and walk into that commons area, it's all on you. Okay? The commons area is not an outdoor service area for the licensee. Now, I don't know if you guys know what an outdoor service area is, so I put you a little diagram in here. Let's say this is my establishment, and I have an outdoor service area. And my outdoor service area is in front of my bar or my brewery, and it measures, it's across the sidewalk, and it measures 6 by 20 across my front. If that's my outdoor service area, I'm in control of it as a licensee. If I step out of my outdoor service area, and this right here is commons area, I cannot sell over my line like this into the commons area. I cannot allow my wait staff to take a drink over into the commons area and deliver it. I, as a patron, have to go into the licensed area, purchase my drink in a cup, and I gave you a picture of some cups on the next page. They have to identify the permit holder and the commons area. So the reason they say that is there's several jurisdictions that have multiple commons areas, depending on how big it is. So commons area A, or State Street, I think is the example on here, State Street commons area, Main Street common area. So the two licensees that are contiguous to State Street would sell into that area. The two contiguous licensees, or however many more, it's just a minimum of 2. They would be on the Main Street commons area side. So the cup that the individual goes in and gets is gonna have the name of the bar, restaurant, brewery, winery, whatever, and the commons area. So if anyone walks up, if the police officer walks up and asks for ID, and you got 2 people sitting there, one's under 21, their cups will tell you where they got it. Problem is, if the 21-year-old went in and got it and brought it out. So it's gonna be difficult to get the licensee on that, unless you have cameras, unless you actually witness that under 21 getting sold. You can't base it on, oh, he's sitting here with a drink and he's under 21, I'm gonna get that licensing. That's not how it works, okay? Same with intoxication. Once they leave there, they leave Carol's Tavern, they go over to Jim's Restaurant, they get another drink, they go over to Linden Brewery, they get another one that has a real high potent beer. So now they're staggering around, it's on the police, okay? If he does anything that injures another person, it's on the local, the liability, okay? The cups are limited in size. They are limited to plastic, no glass. So it can be a red solo cup if that's what they want to use, but it cannot be glass. So I gave you all that on that page. Next up, this one is my favorite because if there's business owners in the audience, please pay attention. The alcohol cannot be removed from the commons area. They can only go back into the place where they purchased it, Or if there's a hotel in that commons area that's a permitted hotel, they can take that drink into the hotel. That's it. Let me say that again. They can only stay in the commons area. They can go back to where they bought it to like get a refill or whatever, or they can go into a licensed, permitted hotel. That's it. They cannot take that alcohol into the businesses. So if you make your commons area a big rectangle and you're gonna put your social district, a big rectangle, and your commons area is everything in that rectangle. So your social district is basically your commons area. And you want your people to be able to stroll down the street and go into the businesses. The minute they walk in that business, it's a felony. If someone buys something. Yes. So if you are going to do that, make that all commons area, I would encourage your business owners that are not licensed permit holders, no alcohol may be present because you don't have liquor liability insurance. And if you're a boutique that sells jewelry and I've got my drink and my girlfriend buys a pair of earrings, we've just committed a felony. Because it's the consumption of alcohol on unlicensed premises where consideration is paid that makes it a felony. So consideration is broadly defined. I gave you another page on that. Just a freebie here. If you go to your hair salon and they offer you a glass of wine, if you have a ladies' night out and you have different businesses that are unlicensed giving wine or allowing people to go into those businesses with wine, it is a felony. All right? And that's, I gave you all that in here. If you have any questions, you can call as the attorney. 1909 and 1913. Okay, so it's any fee, any charge, any service. So if I'm getting my hair cut, do you want a glass of wine while you wait? The minute I get my hair cut and they give me wine, they've committed a felony, okay? All right, and the penalty for that is 1 year in prison or a $1,000 fine or both, which I know doesn't sound very much, but you will have a felony on your record. And unfortunately, it only takes one person to do it. So if I'm consuming and other people are buying, everybody in there might get hauled away, just saying. But it's up to the local police and it's up to the prosecutor of the place to enforce that. Because the Liquor Control Commission, we don't charge felonies, we do administrative law, we rely, and they're unlicensed, so we have to rely on our local police to make sure that that's not happening in their jurisdiction, okay? You're going to delineate a commons area so that people will know there's signs that are supposed to be posted. You guys have special licensees, nonprofit organizations that hold special licenses for special events. This law actually changed, and I was telling people this anyway, so I'm glad they changed it. If I am a nonprofit organization, I have the right 12 licenses per year for an event, to have a fundraising event. You have to be a nonprofit organization. So let's say you have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, that's 3 of the 12 licenses that you're allowed per year. If this is the commons area and I'm a special licensee, I will set up my tented area, my delineated area from my special event here and take half of the commons area. My event people cannot go outside of that tent. The people out there cannot bring alcohol in from the commons area. So it's like a wall, okay? Because the reason for that is the special licensee is responsible for what happens within that area that they have licensed. So if they've oversold, if they've sold to a minor, they're held liable for that. And if there's someone out in the commons area that has been intoxicated, drinking too much, but they didn't get it from our special licensee because they're out there, that's not gonna be the special licensee's problem, okay? So that's why it has to be separate. Any questions on that? Good, yay.
They'll come after.
If you have any questions, yeah. My email is on our website, michigan.gov/LCC enforcement, that's me, and then you can just email me all your wonderful questions. I also gave you some pictures of what a beer festival looks like, or what a special license, area could look like. I don't know if if that first picture would get approved by, our current commissioner, they're pretty, strict about how close they are to the water, and then that picture, that goes right up to the water line. So I don't know if Kristen Belcher would approve that as our chair, but, without more than just what they have in front of that water. I gave some additional things in here, because I know that this happens, and it's just 2 more slides. Cocktails to go is not the same thing as a social district permittee. A cocktail to go is, I go into my local Mexican restaurant, I order a margarita to go, they put it in a qualified container, which is sealed. I always tell the licensee when they call me and say, what's sealed? Well, contact your local law enforcement, because if you get pulled over, will it be considered an open intoxicant? A little sticker on the straw hole probably won't fly. I don't know, ask the chief. Personally, if I saw that, it would not fly. So, when I was in the field as an investigator, they sold to our kid. We took a bottle, we tried to reseal it with the cap, but I busted too many bottles in my lap, so we just stuck a cork in it, taped it with electrical tape, and hauled it on our way. So it has to be sealed, and I would say electrical tape is pretty tough to cut. We don't want people driving down the road sipping on that margarita. That's the last thing we want. But it's alcohol sold to go. It's not sitting in the restaurant, hey, I didn't finish my beer, can you put this in a cup for me to take with me? No, you cannot have that to go. Okay? But if I walk up to the counter and I want to give me that 750 milliliter bottle of vodka to go, and they don't have an STD license, which is a carry-out spirit license, they would have to take that bottle, dump it into a qualified container, and then they can take it to go. But if they're doing that, you might want to also give them a card, because they have a problem. All right, so lastly, I have on here a catering permit. I put this on here because it's a misconception about a catering permit, and I've seen DDAs do it, I've seen business chambers do it. Let's say Linden Brewery, are they here? Yep. Do you have a catering permit by any chance? Okay. Let's say Linden Brewery has a catering permit. The catering permit was established years ago because it was illegal to deliver alcohol, beer and wine, or spirits, to a consumer at their residence. The law changed in, I don't know when it changed, but now 436-1203 allows for the delivery of beer and wine and spirits to a consumer at their designated location. So with a catering permit, the way the catering permit works, I'm having a wedding, I'm having a retirement party, I want to have you cater my retirement party. And do you guys do food too? I'm gonna hire Linden Brewery to do my food and my alcohol at my retirement party. The catering permit requires Linden Brewery to deliver that alcohol and serve that alcohol with server-trained staff. That's how the catering permit works. It's a delivery of a prepaid quantity of alcohol. It cannot be resold. The host or the hostess of the event has already paid them, just like they did for their food. You know, do you want cheap beer, medium beer, or expensive beer? Do you want steak, fish, or chicken? Kind of the same idea of a catering of alcohol for an event. But the host or hostess pays for everything. There's no charge at all. So if I want to use a caterer that does not allow them to have a mobile bar, they can't bring that under their catering permit, set up a bar and have a cash bar. Well, they deliver it to the event that the host or hostess, it's a private event, that they have paid already for. And then if you're delivering it under the catering, you have to provide server-trained servers to serve it. Flip that around, as a microbrewer, you can deliver beer to your event and drop it off without a catering permit. He doesn't have to serve it, he can just say, here you go, here's your keg, and then he can leave. Okay, that's what 1203 did. So, a lot of people are using that catering permit and they call it, I have my catering license, and they're trying to use it as a mobile bar. We do not issue licenses to mobile bars at the Liquor Control Commission, so if you see someone selling out of a little mobile thing, you better see a license stuck up behind them, issued by the Liquor Control, because we don't allow that. The only time you're gonna see that type of setup is you'll see it at a festival, because a nonprofit organization has pulled a license to have a fundraising event at that festival. And they may have bars, I don't know if you guys are familiar with something like Faster Horses. They have like 20 bars all around there. So they have a liquor license to do that, and they pay for 20 additional bars to do that for those events. You will see, if you see someone selling, you better see a license stuck to the wall. If you don't, it is a violation, selling alcohol without a license. Okay. And also sampling for the brewery, people can only sample where they're licensed, or at a farmer's market with a farmer's market permit if you're a winery. So Linden Brewery can pass out coupons for a free drink all day long, but they cannot come outside of their licensed establishment and say, hey, would you like a free drink? They have to be on their licensed premises in order to give alcohol away. Okay? And I just blew that for the brewery because you can give away free samples. Unlimited amount in any size, so.
Say that again.
Yeah, the breweries, the wineries, and the distilleries, and the mixed spirit drink manufacturers, they have no limit on their sample sizes or quantity, so, yeah, that's not the norm. Okay, if you go into a bar, there's a limit, but you can taste something, they can give you a sample of something, but it's limited in size, and it's limited in quantity, so. Any questions? That's it.
When you first started the conversation, you said that social districts work really, really well in some communities.
Yes.
Give us some examples, if you don't mind.
They have a designated commons area.
Okay.
It's very, very well defined, clearly marked. There's signs, which is required by law. No alcohol beyond this point.
Can you
So they
name the
don't
cities
have-
at all, or no? Can you name the municipalities at all, or no?
No, because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I know that, okay, Plymouth Township or a city, to be honest with you, they're on it. Okay, those police are on it. They call me all the time. Carol, can they do this? Carol, can they do that? They are on it like stink on skunk, okay? But then there's other jurisdictions. I think the police actually go help them set up the illegal activity, so. You know, I don't want to throw any law enforcement under the bus, but I've seen it on both sides.
Sure.
The ones that work well is it's a pleasant environment, it's a family environment, so you don't have a bunch of drunks walking around, you know, swearing and carrying on in front of your kids, because this is a social district for your community. It's a community event, so if you have a nice area where they can walk around, they can go in all these boutiques and stores all day long without alcohol. But if they're gonna have alcohol, they can take that cup, let's say I go, can I borrow your cup? Let's say I go into Carol's Tavern and I get my social district cup. It won't be that heavy, I know, okay? And then I'm getting ready to go out of the door to go into the commons area, and I see Tessa over in the outdoor service area. Hi, Tessa, I can take my cup and sit down inside of the outdoor service area with my social district cup, chit chat with my friend, and then when I'm done, I can go into the social district commons area with my cup. What I can't do is see my friend over here, over in this other commons area, and take my cup over, oh, he's in the outdoor service area. I can't go into that licensed space with my drink I purchased over here. Okay, so if you are keeping that under control, that movement, that's great. If you're watching for underage, I gotta tell you, some of these people look really young. So I've targeted people and I found out they were like 27, but they look really young. And I would rather err on the side of caution than have a 18-year-old consuming. I've been doing this for almost 25 years, and I remember my very first time that they sold to my minor, and I was so upset. It was an old lady, and her name was Carol. I'm like, oh. I go out to the car because they fired her on the spot, and I'm like, oh my God, that was awful. That was the worst thing. And my partner at the time looked at me and said, if that were your nephew, would you feel that bad that she sold to? And I was like, no, and I know my nephew would have absolutely tried to buy. So, after that, I don't care if you're 110, you sell them on decoy, you're going down. But, yeah, so you just have to be aware. And like I said, it can be a great thing for a community. I've seen, like this is the Halloween time, I've seen different townships offer witches' night out for the ladies, and I guess there's been some guys there too, but it's a lot of ladies. I saw one that functioned very well. I saw one that I was off duty, so I didn't say anything, but man, did I want to say something, because I saw them carrying bottles out of a licensed establishment into the social district's common area. That's totally illegal. So sometimes I will go in and tell the licensee, you're gonna have to get this together, because I'm going back and I'm filing a complaint on you, so an investigator can come out and check you out. Sometimes I'll give them a heads up to correct it without that, but it's not the right way. So if you are on the DDA, if you're on the city council, if you're in the police, and you're in your social district, and you see some shenanigans, you see someone drinking out of a bottle, you know that's not a container that's approved, so you know that's not correct. You go over to your police and say, that's not a social district cup. If they see that you're regulating it and being cautious about things, the public sees that, they're gonna function like normal, educated people, not hooligans. Because that's the last thing you want, is a bunch of drunks in your social district. You don't even want them in your bars, really. Yeah, that's the worst thing that you can have is bars that have reputations of over-serving. And then you can't even enjoy a night out with maybe your date or significant other because there's someone who's way, way over-served there. And the only way we know about that is if you let us know, because there's 33,000 licenses in the state, and there's 40 investigators to cover it all. So we rely a lot on our local police. So if you know of something happening, I got my email is on our website, so you can always let me know and I'll send an investigator out. You guys got some really good investigators in this area.
This is an opportunity for you guys to ask questions. I mean, you know, this has been a topic that the DDA and the council has talked about before. No decision has technically been made, but please, I think like this is the opportunity to ask the questions for you guys.
Do you know if any statistics exist on safety, you know?
No,
and
but
rates and
I
things
think
like
that if they get out of control, you're gonna see it on the news, you just definitely don't wanna see that. I haven't seen anything, the only thing that I saw is like when it first came out, they had these humongous areas, and then they've reeled them in. So they started out big, and then they're like, oh my God, let's reel it in. If your business owners are educated so that people aren't walking in an unlicensed business, that helps. And if you have a certain area for the alcohol, it's okay if you wanna make the whole street your commons area, that's perfectly fine, as long as it's managed. I had a police officer who called me to a meeting like this because there were 3 officers on duty on a Friday night. And they had 5,000 people in their social district on a Friday night. And then they get a call that there's an accident and it pulls 2 of the officers away. Now you've got 1 officer for 5,000 people. That's too big of an area to manage. So think, you know, talk to your police, see what they can manage, or what size they can manage, so.
That's the basic thing. We don't have any 2 licensees that are on one block. So there's gonna be a road separating them, so the roads would have to be closed down in order for that to work. So basically, you're saying the social district will work for us as a special event social district, or common area, kind of thing, where we close a road down and designate, like, a witches weekend, or whatever you're saying.
You do special event licenses for the day.
But there's a difference.
But there's a
between the
difference.
commons area and the social district.
Right.
Correct.
You
Well,
don't
I
have
was
to-
looking-
you don't have to close
And
the
here's
road.
another thing,
You do.
you can have your social district.
You need a common area to do
Yeah.
that. You do need a common area.
Right.
Yeah, to have alcohol.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
you could also, if you only have, how many licensees do you have that would be within it?
4.
4. Those licensees are allowed 12 permits per year. They can extend their outdoor service area with your permission, because they sign off with the local police, and then they get the permission from the liquor control. That would be, they could extend it into the street right out in front of their place, and that's their licensed premises, so they're in control of it. You don't have to worry about it, because they're on their licensed premises. They can't take it outside into the social district. They have to stay within their licensed outdoor service area, but they could extend that out, 12 times a year. So they could get permission to do that. I don't know how they're set up, but, okay, for example, and I don't know where they're set up, so I pulled into a parking lot that Linden Brewery I was looking at. So it was off of the Bridge Street, and behind them, there was a big parking lot. If there's an area like that where the other licensee is on the other side of the parking lot, that could be your commons area of your social district. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a street. If they are, kitty corner to each other, you can make that area the commons area to get it qualified.
There's still a little street they have to cross to get to.
A little street's a little easier to close than like these big streets that you've got going on.
Typically, and I've talked to several departments that have these,
Yeah.
they have an officer sign there, but we have one officer, that's it. And so that officer has to patrol the whole city, and he wouldn't be assigned to that.
Right. And
So
that's
they
why-
do like basically foot patrol there,
Yeah.
typically.
And that's why it's really important to talk to your police, because if they don't have the means to police it, then it's gonna be up to the city council to provide officers to police it. And
Sure.
they won't be police officers, they'll be citizens arrests, but,
Part-time job.
yeah. And nobody wants to really manage people that are drinking.
If somebody gets injured in the commons area, or like say a fight breaks out, who's liable?
Beyond the city.
The city? Okay.
But if there's a fight that breaks out in the outdoor service area, the licensee.
Okay.
See the positives of that situation.
Or with like businesses that are located in the commons area that don't serve alcohol, say their building gets damaged, is that also then like something the city has to deal with?
If it's in the commons area, yes. But if it's in the licensed outdoor service area and they start fighting and the licensee doesn't manage it and they get outside of that area and damage someone's property, licensing.
Have we drawn up any like maps?
I
at all?
know, Kristen, I was gonna say, I don't know if you can pull up Google Map, just showing the
Yeah, 'cause
downtown,
I'm
if
trying to
not,
figure
just
out
pull
what
up
we
that
need to do.
DDA district map, that might be easier. The only place that I can envision one actually happening is obviously encompassing the gazebo area, right? But the problem is we only have one licensed. In
There's
that,
no contiguous.
no, there's nothing contiguous there.
Yeah, I mean,
There's not two contiguous, there's
Right.
just the one.
And as I said, as we grow, and hopefully we continue to grow, and I think we will, then maybe down
Next
the
year,
road-
next year it might be a definite, possibility, especially now knowing that there's DDA licenses available to people who want to start up a business here, get a restaurant or a bar.
I have a question about those 12 licenses you mentioned. Now, so if a nonprofit, is just a total of 12, right?
Right.
So,
Well, now I'm gonna give you an example.
okay,
American Legion,
yeah,
they get 12. Sons of the Legion, they get 12. Ladies Auxiliary of the Legion, they get 12.
okay.
So you could potentially have
Yeah,
36.
You get 12, and you get 12.
Now, but it doesn't work, and I just had this discussion. If you're an American Legion, VFW is not the same. So motorcycle groups that want to say they're part of the Legion, unless you are part of the main core, American Legion, you don't count. So it's usually the Sons of the Legion, the Ladies Auxiliary, so you could potentially have the same people basically having 36 licenses, special licenses. So some of them use them for their fish fries on Friday nights, some of them use them for pig roasts, but they potentially could have more than the 12 if they have subgroups within that main core.
Can you
mentioned something about ladies' night and if they have alcohol, but they're not a license holder.
They should not have alcohol.
So only license holders should have the alcohol,
Yeah.
even with that event, unless it's something in the special event area.
Correct. And I'm not sure what special events, but if
If
it's
they
at the
have-
city. I know that, there is a city, and I don't know if they're still doing this right, because I knew the chief at the time, and it's been a few years since he was chief. So, at the one time they had a ladies' night every month, the city pulled the license, the city provided the alcohol to the different businesses. I don't know how that got approved. The liability was on the city. I thought it was a horrible idea, but they gave the businesses everything they needed, they set them up. That didn't solve the problem though, because it's the consumption of alcohol in unlicensed premises where consideration is paid is a felony. So it's not who bought it, it's consuming it, where are you consuming it? If it's not a licensed premise and somebody is paying for a service or we're shopping, we buy, a shirt or some tea or coffee, then we've got a problem because that is an unlicensed space where consideration is paid. Hairdressers, people are in there getting their hair done, massage therapists. I'm just bursting all your bubbles. I know it,
You
I
got a
know
lot
it.
of
We're like, we're gonna have an open
you
Except the license. Yeah, they go through a process, don't they, Linden Brewery? They went through fingerprinting, background checks, all up in their business. We got all up in their business.
Good
We
point.
looked at their bank statements and their tax returns. It's a big process, right? So if they have to go through that, why should other businesses be allowed to just willy-nilly pass out alcohol? Sorry, you're not gonna get any sympathy from me. Tainted, we did a tainted state employee, no, I'm just kidding. No, I've seen a lot, that's why I don't have any.
The other thing that you mentioned was the 4 licensed establishments that we currently have. They have the ability 12 times per year, each of them.
To get an extended outdoor service permit, yes.
So I assume that's like what Serendipity did with the package, right? Where you extended it out?
No, we kept our fence, our original fence line where you had to keep the alcohol.
Right, but you extended it out.
Just for the picnic tables for the food. We didn't.
So you
Yeah,
did-
they kept it within the boundaries that they needed to keep.
Yeah. You only need an outdoor service area if you're gonna have alcohol in the outdoor service area. If you're only gonna have food, it doesn't have to be licensed. So you did it right.
We've got 4 places and they can all do 12, I mean, that's almost every weekend if you want. Do we need to do a common area at that point?
I know, I'm just wondering if there's another way to,
Well, and then if they did do those, say, business did 12, then that liability completely falls on that business then, right? Yeah.
But it doesn't sell your product, does it?
Well, it's still, I mean, we still gotta keep track of it, but I mean, again, there's one officer patrolling the street at that time.
The difference is, this is their livelihood. This is what they're paying their kids' tuition. This is how they're paying their bills. So the licensees, they should be on it.
And we do have responsible licenses.
Right, exactly,
So,
and that's
I
the
mean, yeah,
difference, is the licensees, I remember, they sold to my kid, and I didn't have my cork with me, it's in the car, right? So I had the bottle of whatever it was that he got, and I'm trying to walk out the door with it, and 14 customers just about accosted me. Where are you going with that? You can't take that outside. Because they were regulars, they knew the owner of the place, and they knew you weren't allowed to take an open container out the door, because that would get him in trouble. So, chill out, show my bad. But, the licensees are on it, that's what they're there for. They have to be in control of their licensed premises at all times, or they could lose their license.
My mom manages actually down the hatch, and I have some questions on her behalf. The parking lot out back, could that become also a common area, and also on the other side behind the brewery where we do, our Thursday night car show? accessible to become that common area?
If that's what your, local board decides, that they're gonna make the common area, it wouldn't be no different than closing a road. You close that parking lot, so you
Would those-
lose that parking,
I mean,
For instance, with Hatch, I mean, you said it has to be,
contiguous to the commons area. So if the big parking lot is commons area,
well, there's
And
street
there's-
separating.
there's what?
There's a
There-
street
yeah, there's-
separating.
yeah.
If we close the street, it makes
Yeah.
that common
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Yeah, if you close the street, it would become a commons area.
so during like events and stuff,
Now
close
with
that street and
The
then.
event she's talking about being a car show though, cars are going into that parking lot.
Not
so
if it's a commons area, they
how-
can.
Okay, so they have to move where the cars are.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Were you not listening when I said no cars in the commons area?
That's why I was like, oh, parking lot, yeah, we have to.
You wouldn't be using it for parking if it's the commons area.
Right,
It would
well,
just
that's
be,
why
it would be just like
our whole
closing.
town has limited parking. But
Right.
if we did open that common area, that would be actually very beneficial for businesses like the brewery and the pub. Even Serendipity behind where they are and all that parking area, and we do hold events back there. So that was one thing that they were questioning, because that was one thing that the pub always has been wanting to do, was put an event in that parking area, where that's special permits and money and all that, you know.
The Serendipity, because you mentioned the name, they could pull a temporary outdoor service permit and use that entire parking area for their temporary outdoor service area. 12 times a year. Every licensee has that option, as long as it's approved by the police and your,
Yeah.
your board.
But to make it a common
An
area,
event that's gonna bring in enough revenue to pay for that application.
and then for that common area though, again, it needs to be policed, and that means we won't have a police officer in Linden then. So that is a problem.
What is the cost of an application for?
I was just getting ready to look it up.
Okay.
I don't think it's a lot of money.
That was my second question.
I think you're gonna be shocked.
Thank you.
Now, I got the glasses on, I can't see.
But you would have to,
No,
it would still have to be,
because they won't be able to enforce the law. But I think there's alternatives
you know,
for
like
sure.
a
I mean,
secret area, so
some
you have to somehow like make it distinct with some type
Well,
of
like for
area.
the cars show example, could you section off half the parking for car show and then have the common area? Because like if you think about where Linden Brewing is and where Down the Hatch is, they're kind of only a part of it.
Yeah, if you went from Linden Brewing's back door, close Walmart down the hatch, and we had a common area with no cars, that would work.
Yeah, right, because then you still have most of the parking lot for the car show, right?
This stuff I know pretty much since we pull most of the special licenses in town.
So where would the liability go as soon as they step off that commons area? Say, so I own it, I run the car show.
And I DJ the car show.
Yeah, so I'm looking for thinking about, because I'm carrying liability for all of that, so if they leave that commons area, come over to my car show and there's something happens, am I liable for that?
Well, and not just that, I think the commons, once they leave your business, that common area is now our responsibility, and that liability falls on us.
$70.
So, I guess we've got something, I mean, maybe, I guess, I don't know, I think sounds like everybody's asked the questions that they have for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the information, you know, from the state and that perspective. I would also like to suggest a little bit further conversation, maybe from, let's do some research and ask some other cities and towns. I understand there are 65 or something like that who have under 4 establishments, small areas that are making it work, and I have some, you know, pointed questions for the smaller communities. How are you making this work? And is it, you know, successful for you? Do you feel like it's
Just be
worth it?
careful, because like I said, I went to 2 different jurisdictions. One was doing it legally, the other one was doing it illegally.
Sure.
So just because they say, oh yeah, this is working for us, that doesn't mean they're doing it legally. They did have police, and that's another thing you should do, rather than look at how big the licensees number is, how big is their police department?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I think we should encompass all of that, and let's talk, you know, with the
Yeah.
local PDs, with the city government, and how is this all working, you know, for
You
you?
can make it work, with the contiguous, with some creation and creativity on how you wanna put your commons areas. It may require a road closure, it may require a parking lot not to be utilized as a parking lot for the, that weekend that you're having the social districts. Because most of them have it on the weekends, not during the week. But you decide how often you want it. You want it only on Friday and Saturday, you want it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's your decision to make as a local government unit, so.
In
I agree.
regards to
I think it
Carrie's
makes
question, or about looking into it, is there a list somewhere of all the ones that have it?
There's a listing online, I have a link, I can.
About everyone that has it listed?
There's a ton of information on our website, tons, and if you get in